Dear faithful Catholics, did you know that 92% of us sleep with something under our pillow that Pope John Paul II urgently warned us never to keep there? A warning so serious and urgent that it could save your souls from influences you cannot even imagine? What you are about to hear was hidden for decades in the secret Vatican archive. A truth so shocking that 92% of Catholics still don't know it, but which according to St. John Paul II can make the difference between blessing and curse in your homes. The Pope who understood the battle between good and evil so profoundly left us an extraordinary warning about objects that should never lie under our pillows. Through his mystical experiences and direct revelations from Our Lady, he recognized that 10 specific objects can open doors for dark forces in our bedrooms. Today you will discover the secret that could shake the foundations of your thinking about spiritual security. You will learn why, according to John Paul II, what you have under your pillow can be more important than what you pray for before going to sleep. And you will know the prayer that the Pope himself recommended for purifying the bedroom, a prayer so powerful it can transform your bed into a sacred space protected by angels. Are you ready to discover what might be lying under your pillow right now, threatening your spiritual peace? Stay with us, because these next 25 minutes could be the most important for your family's spiritual security. New York, 1969. Young priest Karol Wojtyla visits St. Patrick's Cathedral. It is late evening, the faithful have gone home, but he remains in silence, absorbed in deep prayer before the Blessed Sacrament. It was precisely during these quiet evenings in American churches that the future Pope received his first revelations about the spiritual dangers lurking in our bedrooms. It all began with a spiritual encounter with Venerable Fulton Sheen. Although the beloved bishop was still alive and preaching across America, his spiritual presence was deeply felt throughout Catholic communities. Young Wojtyla had heard of the prophetic gifts of America's bishop and his visions of the invisible spiritual world. There, during one of his nighttime adorations at St. Patrick's, Karol experienced a vision that forever changed his understanding of spiritual dangers in the homes of the faithful. He saw Bishop Sheen kneeling in his study, but this time he was not alone. Around him circled dark shadows, trying to approach his bed. And he heard a voice saying, "See, my son, how evil spirits seek to penetrate even the holiest places through objects that people unconsciously keep under their pillows?" The vision did not end with Bishop Sheen. The young priest saw thousands of bedrooms, in the homes of rich and poor, young and old, where people lay down to sleep and unconsciously open doors for evil influences through what they kept under their pillows. He understood then that our bedrooms are not spiritually neutral. They can either be temples or places where darkness gains access to our hearts. Every object under the pillow, he heard in the vision, becomes a portal. Either a portal for my blessing or for influences that want to destroy the peace of the soul. This vision was so intense that young Wojtyla could think of nothing else for many days. He began observing the faithful in his parish, those who came with spiritual problems, with nightmares, with restlessness they could not explain. And every time he asked about their bedrooms, he discovered the same thing: all kept objects under their pillows that unconsciously opened their homes to negative influences. Gradually he understood that God was revealing a great secret to him. Our bedroom is the most important battlefield of spiritual warfare. There, when we are most vulnerable, when we sleep, dark forces try to reach us. And what we keep under the pillow can decide whether we are protected by angels or exposed to attacks of evil. Years later, as cardinal, Wojtyla had the habit of meeting with groups of faithful who suffered from insomnia, nightmares, or spiritual restlessness. And every time he repeated the same words to them: "Your bed cannot be a neutral place. Either it is an altar where God blesses you, or it is a table where you invite what wants to destroy you. And what you keep under the pillow decides whom you are inviting." Have you ever wondered why you sometimes wake up more tired than before sleeping? Why some nights bring disturbing dreams? Perhaps because you don't understand how important is what lies under your pillow? What you are about to hear could completely change the quality of your sleep and spiritual peace. Vatican, the 1980s. John Paul II already has the first decade of his pontificate behind him, but his mystical experiences become even more intense. He feels a particularly strong spiritual connection to faithful who suffer from sleep problems and spiritual restlessness. It was precisely in this period that the Pope received the most important revelation about the 10 objects that should never lie under the pillow. During one of his private masses in the apostolic chapels, at the moment of consecration, John Paul II experienced a vision so powerful that he had to interrupt the celebration for several minutes. He saw Our Lady standing beside a bed in a small room. She was sad, and in her eyes he recognized tears. "Why do you weep, Mother?" he asked in spirit. And he heard an answer that shook him to the core. "I weep because my children unconsciously open their homes to darkness through what they keep under their pillows. 10 objects are particularly dangerous, and 92% of my children don't know it." In this vision, John Paul II saw 10 specific objects, each carrying a particular spiritual danger. The first are cell phones. Our Lady showed him how electromagnetic waves mix with negative energies, creating a field that attracts spiritual disturbances. "Devices that connect with the whole world," she said, "also connect with what is worst in this world." The second object are photographs of the deceased. The Pope saw how images of people who have passed away, when they are under the pillow, can become portals for souls who have not yet found peace. Love for the deceased is sacred, he heard, but their images under the pillow can summon what should not be summoned. The third object are inherited jewelry pieces, especially those with unclear past. Our Lady showed him how objects carrying energies of previous owners can transmit old traumas, curses, or negative emotions. "Every jewel remembers the hands that wore it," she explained, "and under the pillow that memory becomes alive." The fourth object are medications, especially those for mental problems. Not because medicines are bad, but because under the pillow they can symbolically attract more of what they should protect against. "Medicines belong in the medicine cabinet, not at the place of soul's rest," said Our Lady. The fifth object is money. John Paul II saw how the energy of materialism and greed that adheres to money can contaminate the spiritual space of sleep. "Mammon cannot sleep beside those who want to belong to God," he heard. The sixth object are unconsecrated religious objects. Paradoxically, crucifixes, medals, or holy pictures that have not been blessed can become empty symbols that evil spirits use to deceive the faithful. "Sacred symbols without blessing are bodies without soul," explained Our Lady. The seventh object are mirrors or reflective surfaces. The Pope saw how reflections under pillows can become portals for negative energies, especially during sleep when our spiritual defenses are weakest. "Mirrors show not only what is visible," warned Our Lady, but also what invisible can pass through them. The eighth object are electronic devices with screens, especially tablets or e-readers. John Paul II saw how these devices, even when turned off, maintain energetic connections to all the content they have displayed, including dark or disturbing materials. "Screens remember everything they have shown," said Our Lady, "and under pillows these memories invade dreams." The ninth object are personal diaries or journals, especially those containing negative thoughts or experiences. The Pope saw how written words carry spiritual power, and journals filled with pain, anger, or despair can radiate these emotions during sleep. "Written pain becomes living pain under the pillow," warned Our Lady. The 10th and final object are credit cards or financial document. John Paul II saw how these items, representing material obligations and worldly concerns, can create spiritual anxiety that prevents peaceful sleep. "The soul cannot rest while surrounded by reminders of earthly burdens," said Our Lady. Dear brothers and sisters, do you understand now how revolutionary this teaching is? Your pillow is not just a place of rest, it is a spiritual boundary between the physical and spiritual world. What you keep underneath it can decide whether your bedroom is visited by angels or something much worse. The Pope knew this revelation was so intimate and powerful that it could be misunderstood by those not ready for such spiritual depth. Therefore, for years he passed it only to chosen ones, but always with the instruction that it should be spread among faithful who truly suffer from sleep problems and spiritual restlessness. The results of following this warning were so extraordinary that even John Paul II was surprised by them. Faithful who began removing these 10 objects from under their pillows experienced unusual graces, from mystical visions, through physical healings, to the gift of peaceful sleep. But most importantly, their bedrooms stopped being places of fear and became true sanctuaries of peace. An American woman who received this warning directly from John Paul II during his visit to the United States wrote to him later, "Holy Father, for 20 years I couldn't sleep peacefully because of nightmares. But since I removed my phone and my grandmother's ring from under the pillow, my bedroom has become paradise. I feel the presence of angels so clearly I could almost touch them. My sleep has become a blessing." John Paul II received hundreds of such testimonies. He understood then that God was entrusting him with a mission not only to teach about human dignity in general, but especially about the spiritual security of the faithful in their most intimate spaces. Early 1990s. The Berlin Wall had already fallen, but John Paul II knew that a new challenge was coming for the faithful. Freedom would bring new possibilities, but also new forms of spiritual threat. More and more people would live alone, more would be exposed to influences they don't understand. And precisely then the Pope received his last, most important revelation about the mission of protecting the spiritual space of sleep in the new era. During one of his pilgrimages, while praying at a Marian shrine, he experienced a vision of the future. He saw thousands of bedrooms, in small city apartments, in emptied houses in the countryside, in nursing homes. But these bedrooms were not sad or abandoned. Each radiated light, each was surrounded by an aura of holiness. And he understood that faithful who learned to protect their sleeping places would be spiritual pillars when faith would be threatened by materialism and godlessness. Faithful who protect their bedrooms, he heard Our Lady's voice, will be guardians of faith when others hesitate. Their peaceful sleep will sustain the Church when the world tries to destroy it. Their pure pillows will be the price they pay for humanity's salvation. We thank you from the bottom of our hearts for staying with us to this point of this extraordinary revelation. What you have just heard is only part of this revolutionary truth about spiritual security. The most important teachings of John Paul II are yet to come, those that can completely transform your bedroom into a place of blessing. April 2, 2005, the last hours of John Paul II life. The Pope lies in his bed in the Vatican apartments, surrounded by his closest collaborators. His body is weak, but his spirit burns with bright flame. And precisely in these last hours of life John Paul II received his last, most important revelation about the prayer that can purify any bedroom. Cardinal Dziwisz recounted later that at a certain moment the dying Pope's face lit up with extraordinary light. His eyes, which had been clouded by illness in recent weeks, suddenly blazed with bright radiance, and he began to speak in a weak but clear voice. "I see them. I see all the bedrooms of the faithful, the pure ones and the contaminated ones. Angels weep over those where people don't know how to protect themselves, but they rejoice over those where faithful know the truth." These words were so extraordinary that Cardinal Dziwisz ordered them to be immediately recorded. But these were not the Pope's last words about the spiritual security of bedrooms. He continued, "Tell all the faithful, that their pillow can be either a throne for angels or a portal for darkness, that what they keep under it is more important than what they pray for before sleep." But John Paul II had even more to say. His voice became weaker, but the words were full of extraordinary power. The most important prayer, for those who want to purify their bedroom, not the one I gave them before, but this simplest one, before lying down, after removing everything from under the pillow, to say, "Guardian angel mine, watch over my sleep, let nothing evil disturb my rest, and he will come, he will be with them all night, their dreams will become conversations with heaven." These words became John Paul II's last spiritual gift for faithful who care about spiritual security. A prayer so simple that anyone can say it, regardless of education or spiritual maturity, but at the same time so powerful that it can completely transform the experience of sleep. Dear brothers and sisters, this is the sacred truth that John Paul II wanted to convey to you. A truth so beautiful and so powerful that it can make every night the most beautiful night of your life. Allow me to convey to you this most holy prayer that John Paul II left especially for you. A prayer that each of you can say every night, transforming your bedroom into communion with God. Guardian angel mine, dear friend of my soul, here I lie down in my bed, which the world may call ordinary, but which you can make holy. Watch over my sleep this night as you watch every night. Let my dreams be conversations with heaven, let my rest be rest in God's arms. I thank you for the gift of the pure pillow, which allows you to be so close to me. Let every night be our shared night, every morning our shared awakening. Amen. This prayer has the power to transform every bedroom into a temple, every pillow into an altar, every tear of restlessness into a tear of mystical joy. Dear brothers and sisters, your bedroom is sacred. Your pure pillows are more powerful than the strongest talismans. Your nightly prayers are more powerful than all the armies of the world. You are chosen, loved, blessed. What do you think about these revelations from our beloved Saint John Paul II? Do you recognize in your life this spiritual plan that the Pope spoke about? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your testimonies can help other faithful understand the value of spiritual security. If these words have touched your heart, subscribe to our channel and activate notifications so you don't miss more spiritual messages that heal the soul. Write in the comments, "Lord, even in sleep I belong to you." Let this be your daily confession of faith in the value of spiritual security. And remember, every night when you go to sleep with a pure pillow, you are not alone. John Paul II conveyed to us the truth that angels wait for each of you with the greatest love. Your pure pillow is actually the fullest pillow in the world, because it is filled with divine love itself. John Paul II sees you from heaven and smiles, because he knows you have finally understood the truth about the spiritual security of your bedrooms, that you will never again cry from restlessness, but from joy, that you have transformed your bedroom into the most beautiful communion with God.